Really thought I could think my way through this or learn my way through this or know my way through this. And it turns out you got to friggin' feel your way through it.
Welcome to Life by Design, where we explore what it means to grow intentionally in a world that wants you to stay on your default settings. Conversations covering all areas of life, honest, deep, and occasionally a little geeky. I'm your host, Kate Vandenboss, and today we are going deeper with Jen Liddy. You may know Jen as a brand voice and messaging strategist, and in my personal opinion, she is absolutely phenomenal at what she does. But for today's conversation, I wanted to flip the script because as professional women, we spend a lot of time talking about what we do. And this is an opportunity for us to explore what it also means to be human, a mother, a wife, a woman, a sister, daughter, friend. What does it actually mean to be happy? And how the unwritten and often unspoken rules that Jen grew up with as a child shaped what she believed she was allowed to want today. We explore knowing the empty nest is fast approaching, unpacking all of the identity and value wrapped up in being a mother, and the shifts that happen when your focus changes from what you produce and output to creating impact in all areas of your life, and so much more. Let's dive in. Hello, Jen Liddy. Welcome to Life by Design.
Hi, my friends. So good to do this with you. I cannot wait to see where the conversation goes.
In random places, I'm sure, as always with us. So this conversation is not going to be your usual podcast. And that's my intention behind this, because both of us find ourselves in these Zoom rooms or on podcast meetings talking very much about what we do, the work that we do. And you are, in your case, a brand messaging strategist, and that is, you are phenomenal at it. I'm one of your biggest raving fans. And my intention today was actually to have the conversation around all of the other things that we don't get a lot of airtime talking about: being a human, being a woman, being a mother, being a daughter, being a sister, being a friend, and the changes that we all navigate and go through, maybe at different times, but they're pretty common things that we are walking through, but we often don't get to talk about them in terms of, in this forum. So
Right.
that's where we're going to jump in.
Well, I always love a good, transparent, get down in the dirt conversation. So
Yeah.
I'm here for this.
And honestly, you are one of the most eloquent people I know around this, and just so beautifully, I'd say charming. And that's actually one of the words that I want to start with to describe something that you said to me recently. It was a very charming response to a question I asked you, where you laughed and you said, if I'd have heard somebody say that 3 years ago, I would have rolled my eyes and laughed. Do you remember what I asked you?
I don't remember. Was this around, was it around like where, oh God, I don't know I don't know how you phrased it or how I phrased, but it was something around like the ease that I have now and how accepting I am of it. Was it around that?
I asked you what makes you happy.
Oh.
And that was pretty much your response.
Okay, the answer I probably gave you was like the 3 year ago version of me would have laughed because like I didn't even think it was possible. And I think that I've been striving my whole life for so much because that's how I was raised. I'm a Gen Xer, and that's what you were raised to do. And I always talk about, if you can lean, you can clean. And that was the mantra in the house. And the mantra was like, you're valuable for what you're going to get done, what you can bring to the family, what you can bring to the house or the dynamic. So doing, and so I used to think that the doing was the thing that made me happy. The more I could do, the happier I would be, or the better I was. So I was always striving for that.
So
Do more.
what's your answer today? The Jen Liddy of today, what makes her happy?
Well, I'm going to use the word being. I'm still not great at being versus doing. It's a constant thing I'm working on, but it's not like doing less is actually what makes me happier. And it's not like that doesn't mean laying around on the couch, which is what I think I feared it meant back then. But I always would be like, well, if I'm not doing, then what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Because like being sounds boring. And everybody's always trying to get you to be. And like, so 3 years ago, when I started working with you, I mean, this thing of like being and doing less and being more and like enjoying more or whatever. I had heard that. It was in the zeitgeist, but it like doesn't even make sense to a person whose brain works like my brain works. So I think I thought that was for other people, but my lot in life was to be a worker bee and do and do and do. So to even think about like having a slow morning. I'm going to give some examples of what
Mhm.
it looks
Please.
like
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
it
Yeah.
was so abstract to me, but like they just seemed like dreams at the time, even though they're tiny dreams. They sound so stupid when I'm going to say them out loud, but like things like not getting up for like not scheduling a call at 8 o'clock in the morning because that's when a client wants to meet, or having time to have a morning where like, oh yeah, I could go to a 9:30 in the morning yoga class because like I actually make my own schedule.
Mm.
Like little things like that. It wasn't like I want to be jetting to Paris on the regular or something like that. It was just like very small things that I wanted just more space on my calendar is what I really wanted.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of things that we've talked about over the last couple of years too. And talking about that from a personal experience, I remember just the internal pushback as well as external pushback when I committed several years ago around not taking a client call before 11 a.m.
Hmm.
because that actually was my time in the morning, my time to spend walking my dog, meditating, getting myself ready. Because as soon as you turn the on switch on, you're somebody else, or at that time, it was somebody else's all day. And so
Yes, yes, yes.
it's a really important thing that you're saying. It's such a little thing of just actually putting a block around this is my time and staying committed to it, blocking in gym time, blocking in,
Well, it feels
I mean,
selfish.
it feels selfish. And honestly, I mean, I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Is it even coming from the outside, or is this a projection and a judgment that is coming from inside that we're assuming everybody else is thinking too?
Well, it's from the inside, but I know where it came from. It came from the outside back in the day. It's not what my real life looks like. So if you were to say like, are you still living with your mother? Is she still like forcing you to do chores instead of watching Saturday morning cartoons? Like obviously not, but that's what I'm carrying around. And I'm not married to a man who ever says stuff like that to me. But my sister and I talk a lot about we still have this like jump thing that we do if we're like laying on the couch and somebody comes home or somebody comes downstairs, we both kind of jump because that was always the
Mm.
indication or like the trigger. Like you're not supposed to be resting, you're not supposed to be, you're like should be doing something. Again, if you can lean you can clean. And we but neither of us have married men who actually say anything remotely like that to us. I don't have friends who are like that. I don't even have a boss anymore. I'm my own boss, but it's still very entrenched in me. So unwinding it has been such a
Mhm.
long journey.
So again, that's an important point is how often are we running patterns and stories right now that it's just like a repeat. It's like a video player, a movie running in our head, and it's actually not even the reality of the I mean, you've created an absolutely wonderful, beautiful life. And there's so much to be grateful for. And a lot of times we need that mirror to be held up and actually just say, hey, there's a part over here that you're not paying attention to because you're still paying attention to the
Old stuff.
video,
Mhm.
everything that's running behind the scenes. So, well, let's go back. So 3 years, and I would say there's kind of three big major changes for you in the last 3 years, and it just happened to be all at the same time for you. I think we all
Right.
we all go through a lot of this stuff. Is you empty nested, you have had physical changes in your body, things are just different, which we can all start appreciating, and the knock-on effect to all of that around your identity and the work you're doing and what that meant. So let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to Jen 3 years ago or so. I think it must be about 3 years ago.
Mhm.
um let's start with the empty nest, because I think this is something
Mhm.
that a lot of women and a lot of my friends are for sure right now are experiencing this, because it's something you can see coming. So
Yeah.
talk to me about your genuine empty nest experience.
Well, I'm a person who like sees a thing coming and I want to work on it to make sure that I can get out ahead of it. That's true like in every area of my life. And again, I have one child. He has been lovely and fairly easy, and I like him a lot. That's which is very different from how I grew up. My parents didn't like me. Everybody was excited for me to go away to college, but I didn't feel that way about Jack because I just genuinely enjoy him. But I saw it coming, and I wanted to be prepared because additionally. I knew that I was going to have a lot of time because he was a teenager. He was moving into his teenager years, and they need you less in certain ways, but they need you more in other invisible ways that you can't anticipate. So I was still needed, but I knew when he was gone that I would have a lot more capacity. And my habit is to overwork when I have more capacity. I don't have a lot of hobbies. I'm not very good at just being, like I already said. And I was like, I don't want to go back to the old version of me because I had healed a lot of that like stupid garbage around what success looks like and overworking. I had been in the middle of healing that at the same time too. So I'm like, okay, I don't want it to look like that anymore, but I actually don't know what it would look like. So I started to get out ahead of it, working with my therapist and reading about it, reading about what empty nest would look like. And I really, really thought I was prepared, but all this stuff hit me like I had a child. I had one child on purpose because I always say like I knew I could be a good mom to one kid or a drunk mom to two, but I chose being a good mom and I broke all the chains of my family childhood dynamic and I've done a lot of like personal work around that. Our family is like we're happy and it's calm and it's all the things I wanted, but I never really identified like I want to be a mother. I need to be a mother. Like motherhood was not my number one identity. But it turns out when this child that you have worked so hard to raise and that you actually like and love, it was surprising how much of my identity was wrapped up in it. So even though I had done all this work, I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm actually like really wrapped up in being a mother in a way that I could never really see when I compared myself to other mothers who were like doing it better. Like I'm like the okayest mom in the world kind of thing, but like there are other awesome moms out there and I was like, yeah, that's just not me. I'm gonna. So that was a very big surprise to me that wow, so much of my identity is wrapped up in this friggin' kid.
And it's
What
important, like you said, you've done all the reading, right? And when
I've done
something you
all
just
the work. Of course, I've done everything.
and that's the intellect of
Yes.
hooking into and it's I was reading somewhere and it's just interesting, an overthinker is actually an overfearer, because
Mm.
the overthinking and the over intellectualizing is because there is a tendency to be just scared of the unknown, the
Yeah,
not
you want to get out ahead of it.
want to get out ahead of it, like you're saying. So,
Yeah,
and
I
also
really thought I could.
the other thing
I
about
really thought I could think my way through this or learn my way through this or know my way through this.
Mhm.
And it turns out you got to friggin' feel your way through it.
And the same thing in looking at other mothers, you don't know what's going on. Again, from the
That's so true.
outside, like you're unflappable, right? That's
Hmm.
just your personality and that's your persona. Um, and you don't, it's like the swan, you don't see the feet going under the
Hmm.
surface and
Hmm.
feeling that just lack of control in a situation that you have no control over, but you can see it coming. It's like um well, I would anticipate it's like waiting for him to be born in the first place.
Yes, yes.
You know, you
Yeah,
don't know what's going to happen on the other side, but that's almost the reverse of,
exactly.
am I going to be a good mother? I read all the books. I don't know what to do. And I don't know anybody who's had a child that got the answers they needed in a book. And every single mother has
Was a
said,
lesson.
yeah, I
Yeah.
wish that somebody had told me about this. I wish somebody had told me about that. So do you think that the catalyst was actually knowing that you had a year to empty nest to start doing some work, or was there already did it just get swept up in other work that you were already doing?
Do you mean the growth cycle work?
Growth cycle work, but other work, just work on yourself, holding that mirror up to around what is this going to
No,
mean for me?
well, I have always done therapy because of having the childhood that I did. And I'm always interested in like how can I be better? That's kind of how I'm wired. So I'd been doing therapy for a long time. But this was a thing I saw coming. Oh, and at the same time, I did have a client who was an empty nest coach and an author and a speaker. And so I'm listening to her content and working with her on her content. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, this is kind of a big deal that people don't see coming. And so, but I was like, ha ha ha, I'm out ahead of it. I'm, all prepared.
Mhm.
And then he left and there was a lot of feelings and it was hard. And so he just came home from college for the summer, so he's had his first year away, and it's just honestly like he's fine, and I think it's like it's my turn to focus on myself,
Mhm.
and that is just weird. It's not like it's hard; it's just weird.
So even though you were prepared, you weren't hitting the ground running as a brand new empty nester, the brand new
No,
Jen. It's almost been like a two-phase
yeah,
kind of preparation for you, the preparation for it, and then the actual
doing.
navigation of it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we kind of think back to when you that started sinking in that he's going to be, say, a year, because that was when it kind of really started
Yeah.
working, counting down for you, his senior year, right? Is
Yes.
that
Right. Right. Right.
um that march towards that, let's call it the empty nestum, is what did you anticipate were going to be your biggest fears, challenges, obstacles? Like in your mind, how did you see that happening?
Um, that my work would fill up all the empty space. And that for years, I've known I need hobbies. I need to take better care of myself. I need to put myself first. Like my husband and my son are very capable. Nobody needs me to manage them, but for my ego, I need something to manage. And so my business is that thing. And so I was really worried about falling back into a lot of old overworking habits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. So at the same time, you've got your preparation for the emptiness, but you've got a body that's not cooperating energetically anymore,
Yep.
right? It's not responding the way that things used to. This again, just talk around how did that affect and impact the way that you navigated the last couple of years?
You mean like the menopause stuff?
Well, if
Weight
we call it,
gain?
yeah, the things that just slowed you down, or even just, I know we've had conversations around this just isn't working anymore. I'm trying to lose weight and this isn't working. I'm not sleeping. I've had energy when you need the energy, because your intention to start with was just to work, right? That was the whole thing. I'm going to throw myself into
Mhm.
being this worker, and your energy did not want to support that at the time.
Yeah. Um, I had, well, a couple of things. During this time, so in these, like, say these 3 years, it's been like, okay, well, how can hormone therapy help? It's like been searching for just little tweaks. And then it doesn't matter. Again, it didn't matter what I did. Like I could do Pilates and yoga and I could go lift weight. Like my weight just wasn't budging and I was very uncomfortable. My blood sugar was like absolutely ridiculous. And I wound up going on a GLP-1 and that has been a game changer for me. But again, that was like it's quite an expense
Mhm.
and insurance doesn't cover it. And again, that was like you've literally done all the things that you could do. And so I chose to try this GLP-1, which actually has been a good experience for me, but it felt selfish. It felt really selfish. It also felt like I was taking the easy way out. And that was something I had to I would say like I thought that since GLP-1s came out, like I was like, that feels like the easy way out, and I'm not allowed to take the easy way out. That's like a theme, like you're not allowed to have it be easy.
Yeah,
So,
that's a huge thing. I mean, I would second that too. We've kind of been dancing around it, but it's for those exact reasons of it's got to be too good to be true. It's too
yep,
easy.
yep.
I didn't earn it. I
I didn't
haven't
earn it.
worked hard enough for
Yep.
it.
Who
It's
am I to have this thing when other people out there can't have this thing? There's like that's been a lot of the work that I've been doing.
Mhm.
So who am I to have a business that I don't want to take a call until 11 o'clock? Like who the hell do you think you are? So there's been a lot of that who the hell do you think you are
Mhm.
theme that I've had to spend a lot of time unwinding.
Yeah, let's talk about work, because
Okay.
again, that's one of, I think, also a big identity shift for you around. And one of the things that we talk about is, and I think it was you who actually identified it. There was one thing, actually, it's a beautiful turn of phrase, another Jenism that I love to quote is, you said, I felt like my life was like I was having the air conditioning on full blast and all the doors and windows were open all the time. What does that mean to you?
I don't even remember these things that I say to you.
I have them documented.
That feels like I was working so hard. So I used to be, back in the day, I was a high school English teacher and then I was a college professor. So working hard was just like the thing that you did. You brought papers home, you graded papers all weekend. When I left education after 15 years, I opened up a fitness studio with two friends. And that's where I learned entrepreneurship. And that was like, yeah, it was like getting a PhD in yourself. And it was great. It got me into entrepreneurship, but it was so hard. It was 70-hour weeks when I had like a 6, 7, 8 year old child. So I'm used to working hard. And then I was like, I want to start my own business. We closed down the fitness studio. I want to start my own business. And I had just, so since 2016, I've had my own business in different iterations, but it's always felt really hard. There's things that are easy. There have been times when it was easier, but it's never felt like pure ease. And a lot of the other stuff that we were talked about, like putting yourself, like setting yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm. Like, oh, well, this client wants to meet at 8 o'clock, so I have to do it. Those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
So that's
But it's
another
just,
Genism. Did everybody catch that? Setting yourself on fire to keep somebody else warm.
I think, I'm sure I didn't come up with that, but I do say it a lot. But so these ideas of having business be easy and feel easy just never felt realistic. Like it's just hard to have a business. It's just, and the other thing was like, oh, I need my business to look like fill in the blank, like this other person or this other kind of business or my business is online. My clients are online. So on the online business world, there's ways that it looks. You could have a membership, you could have a subscription service, you could have a mastermind, you could have private clients. Like, and I really thought that it was supposed to look a certain way. And every time I did that, I did some iteration of that. It like worked, but it was really hard. And it felt just like Herculean, like I'm doing all of this work and like I have the air conditioning on, but the windows are just open. It was just like getting nowhere kind of.
And we talk about like that being output, right? It's just this whole, and
Yes.
there's this moment that
Yes.
it clicks, and there's so many things that go into this identity around, your value being
Productive.
attached to production,
Yeah.
and your worth is how much you output. And we, I
Yeah.
talk about it being like in the Victorian factories, right? How many things on the factory line did you get done today? That was how you were,
Yes.
rated. But even for us, as we talk a lot about school, right? How much did you get done? How much tangible work did you actually produce that could be graded and seen and
Yes.
approved or judged or in some way? And so that's the world that our generation for sure has grown up in. And I'm hoping it's changing slowly, especially through having conversations like this. If we can leave those footprints behind us, as to there is another way. But there's a sense of the shift into what is the point of this? If we're just going and going and going, and from a fitness perspective, it's like being on that bike, right? It's just being on the air bike and going nowhere, but you're just spinning, 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 spinning the wheels. And all of this energy is going out and none of it is coming back. And I think there's just this real, from my experience with working with clients and my own experience, is a tipping point of this. There's got to be something more. There
Yeah.
has to be something else that has to, and it's not a case of not wanting to work.
That is not it at all. Exactly.
That's never the case.
I can remember the moment you're talking about this productivity. Like at the end of the day, I would feel like, yes, I did so much today. I'm so efficient. I'm so productive. I crossed so much off the list. I crushed today. But like my bank account wasn't showing that. And I was absolutely depleted. But I was like, this is just the way it is. This is how it has to be. This is the work you put in. And then over the years, I mean, I've been working with you since the fall of 2023. And I think that's how long I've been working with you. Maybe 2022, but I think it was 2023. And in that time, I have closed a membership, closed a mastermind, and completely revamped how I work with my clients one to one. I've let go of my podcast. There's just stuff I've let go. And I'm not like saying this like I'm perfect. I'm still working on this. But I remember I was walking the dog. It was at night, and I can't stop thinking about my business. It's like all consuming. And I was out for a dog walk and I'm like, why can't I just turn my brain off? Why can't I just stop thinking about how to grow my business, how to grow my business, how to grow my business? What else could I be doing? And I was like, my business has brought me a lot of things. It has never brought me joy. And for a long time, I didn't even use the word joy. I'm that's a thing for other people. I'm not here for joy. My grandmother told me that I am here to work hard because that's how people are successful. She was the most loving grandmother, but she was a janitor at a nursing home. And she's the one telling me how successful people behave, right? Like that's messed up. And so I had to have a lot of talks with myself about like, well, what is success even? And why don't you deserve joy or happiness or peace or pleasure or leisure? And that like when I literally said it that way, my business has brought me a lot of things, but it's never brought me joy. Like that hit me hard. And that's when I was like, what would bring me joy? And that's when I started to really lean into the business part that I have. The like what would bring me joy in my business was it was an easier question to answer than what would bring me joy in my actual real life when I have all this capacity now that I'm not a mother first and foremost anymore. What would actually bring me joy in those two realms of my life? And it has been it's been a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. It's a hard question to answer.
And it's not an uncommon one. I have to be honest. Like there, whatever label you put on it, what makes you happy, what brings you
Mhm.
joy, what makes you feel fulfilled,
Or successful.
successful.
Yeah.
They're also desperately entrenched in this guilt feeling around I don't deserve to feel any of those things, or I have to earn it. And it's again like that retirement mentality. I will enjoy it when I've earned it, when I am old enough to do it, when I have put in basically all the blood, sweat, and tears that this life is going to get out of me, and then I'll get the dregs of it at the end. And that's a lot of, and you, I mean, you have, say, hard work. You have worked, and worked very hard at doing this work. And
Mhm.
so there isn't a case of you or any of the clients that I work with not wanting to do anything, do the work. It's not a quest to sit and do nothing. It's a quest of making it mean something.
Making it mean something. That's a perfect way to say it because I had worked hard. And so by the time I'm having this epiphany, I'm probably 2 years into working in the growth cycle. I also have a therapist, so I'm doing the work, right?
And EFT, and you
Oh,
do
yep,
EFT.
yep.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like, well, I'm 50 fucking 5 years old. I've been working since I was like 12. You've worked hard enough. This isn't a case of not working hard enough. Like, so the shift has to come from someplace else. And specifically when it comes to my business, the shift had to come from like, well, what is the business? And what kind of work do you like to do? And what are you naturally predisposed to being good at? And how can we come at it from like, how about we change it from the inside out as a model versus like you thinking you need to work harder at this external model that you've imposed on yourself.
Mhm.
That was the and the literally with when you go through the growth cycle every single month, you're looking at like where you are. A lot of months, it's Kate telling me, well, no wonder you're in this phase and you're not supposed to be talking to other people. Oh, well, no wonder you're in that phase and you're supposed to be going out talking to these kinds of people. And I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Mhm.
And sometimes I would come into our sessions for the month and you'd be like, you'd be like, so what's going on? I'm like, oh, everything's all right. She always goes, listen, I've already pulled your cards. I know what's going on right now. So just tell me the truth. And I'm like, everything's a shit show. And I don't want to. And like, you already know.
It's
Those are my
again
favorite months.
not an uncommon one. Is if it's that's again the comparison-itis, the not wanting to show weakness to the outside world. Again,
Yeah.
the success that we see online, other people, is them being busy. And so
Hmm.
again, it's just step tapping into that discernment around just because I'm seeing a lot of activity, I'm seeing a lot of noise, I'm seeing a lot of productivity, it does not mean that they are fulfilled. It does not mean that they
Yes.
are in joy. It does not mean that they, and then I think it was Lee Harris that actually reframed the question around do you enjoy it? Are you in joy right now? And I had that. I don't have it right now, but I had it on a chalkboard right behind my desk. So every time I sat down at my laptop, that question is above me saying, "Are you in joy right now?" Brackets. What would it take? Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always a really, and it still is a really good reminder. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I could be doing my accounts. I could be doing things that I don't really want to be doing, but it's tapping into the joy around what that will give me, what the impact of doing this is, how else it has that ripple effect on clients' lives, my husband's life, whatever that looks like, and tapping into the joy around it, because that puts us into that state of flow. And I think one of
Yeah.
the things that we're talking about with you, the point that you were raising about being productive and just busy, but not having any joy in it,
Hmm.
is the tendency for all of us to be trained to ignore what's easy. The
Yes.
ease, because that again goes against it has to be
You have to
hard
work
for it
hard.
to be worth it.
Got to be working
And
hard.
there's, one of the things that you so beautifully done in your own life. And it sounds so simple, and it's paradigm shifting for an identity. It's actually leaning into, not leaning in. If you can lean in, you can clean. It's let's how would we frame that around to, if you can flow, then you go, right? It's that whole thing of,
Right.
it's just, is there ease here? Is there a natural genius that just comes out with the conversations I'm having, the topics that just trickle off my tongue, the advice? What do people come to me for?
Mhm.
That's your flow state. That is actually your genius, that most of us take so much for granted because it doesn't feel hard. And
Yeah, and
I
there's
think,
no value if it doesn't feel hard.
and so, and that's, I, wouldn't you agree, that's one of the things that you've changed in terms of how you approach your work now, is
Yes.
does this make me feel good?
Yes, I want to say two things about that. The word joy never resonated with me ever. Even when I said that phrase when I was walking the dog, I don't know where that word joy came from. That's not like a Jen Liddy word. But I think that because I like imagine joy as some woman in a caftan going into the ocean and she's got her crystals with her. And like, that's not me. But what is joy to me versus, I think, like, again, that comparisonitis that you were talking about, like, what does joy actually mean to me? It's not the same as somebody who's like whooping. Like, I don't have that kind of energy. So, defining what that means to you. And a big aha for me was my therapist had said, you've been striving for ease and abundance for years. That has been what you're going for. And now you have it and you don't know what to do with it. And I was like, ouch, that is very true. So then the other piece of it is, okay, well then, and the second thing I wanted to say is, like, you talk a lot about not knowing when we're in our magic because we can't, like, either define it or don't understand where it came from, or it just is like a natural thing that we do. And because of that, we don't value it. And so when she said to me, you're in ease and abundance, and you're saying to me, you don't have to do X, Y, and Z. You don't have to work hard. Like, you can do your natural stuff and it's still valuable. And those two ahas to me, like, then they came together. Like, just doing my natural work and not overperforming or over giving or over delivering because I thought that was the value. Like, I had to really have you reflect what my value actually was, because it's always the stuff that just comes
Mhm.
off of my tongue out so easily, or out of my fingers so easily. But the moment I move into striving, I guess I would say, or overdoing it, then I'm completely out of my magic. Then I'm working too hard. Then I'm like not performing really, but like engineering it, I guess.
Trying to be in control of that, the direction
Mhm.
of the flow and the boat again. And
Yes, yes.
there is it's just from an energy management perspective. Let's just talk about like what's right or wrong, or what you can be doing, or should be doing. What is your energy doing? And you actually just think from an efficiency perspective. Again, most of, actually all of my clients and myself included, we value efficiency,
Yes.
success, like what that means to us. Feeling successful means moving forward, growing, leaning into the grow, leaning into the expansion, leaning into, and come back to output, to impact. Like, what impact did I have? Instead of falling into bed exhausted at the end of every night, having ticked off everything on your have to do list, is, what impact did I have today? How did
Mm-hmm.
I make the world? And one question I'll say is, and I tell my dog when we're coming in here to go work, come on, we're going to go make the world a better place. Let's go sit down.
I love
What impact can we
that.
make today? And that's
Yeah.
it helps my brain be way more creative and fun, and look for the ripple effects rather than the output, and the because you also don't know the impact that you're having in any moment. We do not know the
That's
impact
true.
of this conversation. This is going to ripple out. Somebody can hear it in 6 months time at perfectly the right time and make exactly the right decision that they needed to make for themselves to turn their life in completely different direction. We don't know that. And our role in all of our roles is to show up as ourself every day, and being, identifying what your ease state is, what your flow state is actually part of your, in my opinion, part of your responsibility of being here, is to actually learn what that feels like and looks like so you can demonstrate it to others around you.
I just want to reflect back to you though. The way that you coach in the growth cycle, it is very flow focused. It's not like I've done a lot of different coaching, therapy, healing modalities. And some of them are gentler than others. And again, it depends like what you've got going on. But and the life I have designed right now is quite lovely. And I am still doing the work and it is quite lovely. And you have been an enormous help to get there. But even during the darker, harder, sludgier times, your the way that you're coaching is always to keep the person focused and in flow, and it's not like an arduous thing, which for someone like me, sometimes it feels like a relief and sometimes it's like, ooh, am I working hard enough in my work? Am I working hard enough in my coaching work? But like when I look back, even when I'm like, oh, this thing is coming up or I'll Voxer you or whatever, and you're like, yes, and then you like refocus me. And that's the impact piece, because when we can put our focus on like what 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 did I impact today? How did I impact myself today versus like what did I get wrong? Which is my natural state of being, like what did I do wrong? Uh it's like the kind of coaching that you do is like it was perfectly a match for where I was in my life and what I wanted to achieve. And the other thing is like we're having this conversation and you're reminding me of these things. I'm like, that seems like a different life. That seems like a different version of myself. And when I wake up now and I look at my life, I'm like, yes, this is just my life. I don't go anymore like, oh my God, I can't believe it, or I can't believe I'm here, or I don't feel like I deserve it. Like, I actually feel like I deserve it. I actually feel like it's a normal life right now. And I actually feel real compassion for the 3 years ago version of me and all of the versions of me before that.
I love that normalizing the magical, right? It's that
Yeah.
whole sense of just, so somebody asked me yesterday about what is your dream? What is your dream life? And my honest answer was if I close my eyes and I wake up in that alternate reality world, I'm doing what I'm doing now. I'm working on what I'm working on. I'm talking to the caliber of clients that I spend all my time with. I love my life. I love my tribe, and I want to jump into tribe with you in a second.
Okay.
The thing that's different is that I'm just in a different house. I've
Oh,
elevated
me
my living
too.
experience, right? And it's that whole thing of it doesn't have to all be, you don't have to whitewash
Yeah.
everything in your life. And it's like growing it. We talk about like the rings of a tree. A really healthy tree just adds rings on every year and becomes stronger and sturdier. The roots go deeper, it reaches higher. It doesn't keep uprooting itself. Going, oh, I don't like that version of me. I'm going to go be an aspen. Oh, I'm going to go be a beech. I just don't like this. The ones that are really healthy, and again, if we think about ourselves as a tree, we're rooted really clearly in who we are, and we're adding in experience as we go, so that it's a compounding effect, and that's the best kind. And what I again love about the growth cycle, there's two favorite phases of mine: that when they start the year, when they're setting their intentions and planting their seeds, and they're in the whole clients in a dreamy state, and anything is possible, you can tap into that whole field of pure potentiality. And then 11 months later, when they come back and we're like, look at what you created this year,
Mhm.
look at who you
That is a
became.
stunning moment to look back, because it's like every single day you are just going through the motions and then you have a session and then you're like, wow, that's amazing what I did last month, and also this is what's coming up next month. Okay, cool. And then you look at it from the year. I mean, now we're talking about like 3 years. And I think about what my business was 3 years ago, what my life was like 3 years ago, and it's like, this is lovely. The only thing I would change is that I'm doing this call from a lake house.
Yeah. And you know what? If that's important to you, then that will happen. That's the whole thing, is like step by step, because not everything again happens overnight. It's like a tree, you grow ring by ring.
Yes.
But it's that you become the version that lives in that lake house.
But
You
it's very hard to
become the
see
Jen.
when you start.
That's
It
very
it's
true.
so
hmm
hard.
hmm
It's so hard to imagine that the things you're saying when you're planting your seeds are like not ridiculous or not big enough. Like I have small seeds. If you like, comparatively to other people, I think my seeds are kind of small. And like, is that okay? Is that all right? Always looking for that validation. And then the incremental moves that you make. Looking back 3 years, I'm like, wow, I have changed a lot, or my life has changed a lot, but really also not, because it's so foundational or it's so incremental, but it hasn't been painful.
And also then sinking into what you loved about the life you'd already created and
Yes.
recognizing it against it instead of stepping over it, going, okay, great, I'm done with that. Task done, created the life, got a child, gone to university, great. Let's just keep moving, keep moving. Is actually sitting in it and realizing, wow, look what I have created. And again, that abundance mindset brings more and more of that. And you're noticing the magic around you. So let's talk tribe,
Okay.
because that's one of the things that is I think vital for everyone's healthy growth is who are the trees around you, because you're all connecting energetically to each other, you're all supporting each other. But in an ideal world, a healthy tree, a healthy forest has healthy individual trees that are interdependent with each other. So from a tribe perspective, this is again, a lot of clients will go through changes. As they change, their tribe changes. Talk about how your tribe has shifted, or your view of your tribe has shifted over the last 3 years.
I'll talk about the most recent changes that happened at the end of 2025. I had this epiphany, and this is like it's a very vulnerable thing to admit, but like I realized a lot of my tribe is thrives because I'm the person who makes the plans, I'm the person who reaches out, I'm the person who checks in. And I had this epiphany, partly because my son came home from college. And it was very clear that within being gone for 3 months, he needed me on a very minimal level at this point. And again, it was like kind of rocking my identity like, okay, well, who else needs me? Where else can I be useful in the world? And so I realized like I had been pouring a lot into different friendships where I was the person who was always like making the touch point. And I actually checked in with my body, which was another thing I was terrible at before I worked with Kate. But like I would be like, I have this almost physical pull to check in, like it's my duty. And I'm always afraid somebody's going to come back and say like, "Well, where were you? What were you doing? Why didn't you check in with me? Like you're not a good friend." And I started to realize how all of the relationships in my life, that was the paradigm. So I was like, what would happen if I dropped the rope? And that happened like on January 1st. I just had this epiphany. I saw where it was happening everywhere from my business and my clients to my son to my friends. And I was like, I'm always picking up the rope. And so I sat with that for 2 weeks. And it was fascinating. Where, first of all, nobody was like, hey, where are you? Why aren't you checking in on me? They were just living their friggin' lives like people do, right? And then when I actually did see people in person, they were like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. The end. And also, that was a little humiliating. Like, wait, haven't you missed me? Haven't you? How have you been doing since I haven't been checking in on you? How have you been surviving? So it's like, oh, Jen, just live your goddamn life. And this one friend of mine, she was like, "Where have you been? You must have been away." And I'm like, "No, it's January in Syracuse, New York. I'm sitting on my couch like everybody else, wrapped in a blanket next to the fire." And she just like hadn't even like really thought about it, right? And I'm like perseverating on it to the point where I could feel this pull in my body of like, I need to check in so that I can check it off my list. And I had to work through that like real physical discomfort and then the emotional discomfort. And I can say now, like it's almost June, and I feel like I have really worked through that. And I have so much more freedom in my brain. I have more energy. I don't feel like I'm constantly checking with people. And I also don't have the resentments that I didn't even know were bogging me down. Am I less connected to people? Yes, but I'm more connected to the right people.
That's a, yeah, really good distinction, is to actually, again, if you're thinking from an energy perspective as a battery pack,
Yeah.
am I giving and giving and giving, or am I getting? Now, one caveat around that is, again, a lot of things that I work with clients is being willing to receive.
Oh, yeah.
Givers often, again, the like to control a situation, they will give, they can manage, they can, it's
Yeah.
that kind of
I'm the
um,
best at all that
yeah, and
stuff. I'm the best.
it's the security that comes with the knowing. Well, if I make the
Yeah.
plans, if I do this, then I know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And then if it doesn't go to plan, I can be pissed about it because, I made the plan, you guys didn't follow the plan. But part
Yes,
of
it's a little I'm going to use the word humiliating. It's not quite the right word, but it's like, oh, if I don't make the plans, guess what? Nobody makes the plans.
the
And then But I don't feel resentful. If I want to make plans now, I make them, but I don't make them out of obligation.
It's doing it for yourself. I'm the same
Yes.
way. It's that kind of
Yes.
thing. Is I want to make a plan because I want to make a plan for me. I want to know where we're going to be sleeping, what we're going to be doing, how long it's going to take to drive somewhere, who's going to be there. I'm doing it now for myself and not still working on it, but it's that not expecting that acknowledgement and the
Mm.
recognition. Oh my God, Kate, you
Oh,
worked so
that's hard.
hard.
Yes.
You did so great. And then I know we've had this conversation before again as well, is that um checking in on your motivations around where you're investing your energy and making sure again it's truly for you and that it brings you some level of joy for
Joy.
one fulfillment, return on investment, return on
Yes.
emotional investment, and at the same time also we have to learn to receive because
Hmm.
there are a lot of people we teach people how to treat us,
Hmm.
and that's again a kind of a bitter pill to swallow sometimes, and around it's just by our own condition. We've conditioned that relationship by constantly being the one that reaches out because we didn't give them
Yes.
room to be the one to reach out and be the one
Yes.
to make the plan or be the one to be the reliable oak in the forest. And so that's part of that responsibility around, okay, I created this. Is this
That's
dynamic
right.
working for me? If not, I can start making some decisions. And we all know with tribe too, they don't always stay. When we're
Hmm.
evolving and changing, the trees in our forests don't always come with us. And I mean, you've had that experience too, right? Where you've just grown in different directions with people.
Yes. The one person that I can say, and I don't know how I lucked out with this guy, but my husband is the one who always is there, and I have learned to receive from him. And I've actually had to learn, like, oh, this is him giving, this is his way of giving. So looking for the receiving, and this is friendships, it's certainly with my son. Um, the giving that they're doing doesn't always look like the giving that I'm doing. So sometimes I have to be like, oh, this is him showing me love, or this is him showing me attention, or this is my friend giving me what she wants to give me at this point. It's not like it's not reciprocal. It's just not the same. It doesn't look the same. That
Yeah.
was another lesson to learn.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the, really when you call it love languages or,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
attachment styles, or there's a whole lot of jargon around it. But ultimately it comes down to you understanding that everybody around you is doing the best they can with the
Hmm.
resources they have available. And if it's the disappointment comes from your expectations not being met, so you have a choice to either change your
Yes.
expectations to match the reality or move to go and ask that from somebody else or provide it for yourself. And
Provide
it's
it for
that
yourself. Yeah.
because the only person that you are responsible for being involved in the growth and the change of is yourself. You can't,
Yeah.
and again, that's one of the impact things is by being yourself, you actually impact the world so greatly because people see you and want to are inspired by you, want to be more like you if that's the case, rather than trying to fit in and be one of the crowd is one of the other lessons that um, we often have to unwind is actually trying to make ourselves small or change ourselves so that we feel comfortable in the community and the relationships that we're in around us.
Yes. And I think that that is the hardest work to do because you're just going through your day being you. You know when you've been an asshole, you know when you've been awesome, you know when you've overgiven, you know when you haven't given it. Like you know all of those things, but like you're just going through your day. And I think most of us don't go through the day thinking, we're so awesome. I'm so amazing. I'm really impacting people. And you're just like, you don't see yourself for how great you are. So I feel like, again, this is a thing I would laugh about if like 3 years ago, that who the hell am I impacting? Like, what are you even talking about, Kate? That's ridiculous. And now I can see the little ripple effects or the little waves of how, when you behave this way or you show up in that way, like just again, being yourself, being like whatever that authentic self
Mm-hmm.
is, or more authentic self. Um, it's very interesting once you're willing and ready to receive what comes back to you, how those messages do come back to you. But when you're in the thick of it, it's very hard for you to see that like you're impacting anybody, or even sometimes to know what quote unquote the real me is. And I
Yeah.
think like the older I get and the more I do this work, like I just get more and more and more. to this, so like the Tootsie Pop. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? 56 years. But like you're like I'm still like finding the essence of
It's like
myself.
that Russian doll. Oh, there's another one. There's another
Yes,
one. There's
yes,
another Jen. There's another
yes.
Jen. Um, so what would you say has been your solution journey to get to where you are today? If we were to say, what mindset shifts have you had? What modalities have you tapped into? What's been your kind of secrets to success over the last couple of years?
Um, I think I've unpacked a lot of them like tactically, and if I had to say one thing, I'm not afraid. Uh, I'm not afraid of like admitting something that I think is gross about myself in safe places. Well, obviously, even on this podcast, I've admitted plenty of things about myself, but I always really think that if I'm going through something, I'm just a very normal, typical, usual, run-of-the-mill person. The other people are also experiencing that, and it can only help to hear these things kind of said out loud. And I happen to be a person who's good at saying things in a certain way that people can hear. So that is like part of the magic that I have that I can tap into. So part of it is like I'm not afraid to acknowledge those little asshole parts of myself. I'm not afraid to feel feelings. And I think a lot of people are, and that's why they resist doing this work. But I always think, like, on the other side, there's so much peace and growth and capacity that I cannot even tell you. Like, if I described my childhood to you and what I thought of myself and the life that I have now, you'd be like, those are two completely different people. And that girl, she should be like living in a trailer park with a drug-addled husband or something because that's like what she was set up for. And so I only think that it's by being willing to sit down and do your therapy and do your healing and like talk about these parts of yourself that you just don't love so much, that that's the way through to get the life that like maybe right now you're laughing about that you want it, and then years from now you're going to look back and go, oh my God, I did it and it only took me 3 years. And I feel like every moment that you don't start doing it is a moment that you're like that much further away from it. Because the years are going to pass. I used to say this to my students. I'm like, the time will pass. Will you? And I think we can say that to ourselves. Like, time is going to pass. Like, I'm going to be 57 next year, whether I do any personal development work or not.
Right. And
Will my life be
again,
better? Yes,
the
because
old
I do personal
adage
development.
around, would you wait 3 years? Would you, if you knew that this was going to be the outcome? And every time it'd be like, yeah, but at the time we want that instant quick fix that
Yes, but
I
it's
want
not
to
how it
feel
works.
better, that whole uh soothing, the self-soothing around it. And it's actually the baby steps. And again, recognizing how far you've come is part of that self-soothing. It's that part of that celebration of, wow, look, I am pretty awesome. This is pretty, that was something that was pretty challenging and I overcame it and I'm out the other side. And hooking into that, if I've done it once, I can do it again. So
Yes.
every new challenge, every new situation, I've been through this before. I can do this again. I will tap into that inner reserve and that resiliency that I've learned because I know who I am, and navigate it through. And again, growth is not always comfortable. It's
Or
just not,
linear.
or linear, and it's all around. I wouldn't even say it's circular. It's not even necessarily a spiral. It's but it's worth it. And I think we have to stay with that mindset and that outlook of this will be worth it because growing in the right direction is always going to be worth it for me.
Hmm.
So what would you say to the 3 year older, 3 year younger
Yeah.
version of Jen Liddy today?
The it's out there for you. Like you can have that thing that you want or feel nudged toward. Like you could have it. If you've thought of it, you could have it. It could be true.
Yeah, I love that. Um, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you for your
Same.
honesty, your vulnerability, your
Oh,
just all the things, and for being a wonderful light in the world and creating the
thank you,
impact
friend.
that you do.
Well, same to you. You know how important I think you are to my life. So thank you.
You're welcome.